we have 3 lovely teens with us today, and a lot of really good questions that you asked for our planned questions for the focus group. I was thrilled. I think the best ones that I've had over the years. And so no pressure for your impromptu questions at all. Dylan's here. He's going to be filming today. Don't worry about being in the shot, but this is just for you. If you have any questions, concerns about what the heck did these crazy people say, and taking notes, all that stuff. So I'm just doing informed consent forms for our participants. Do you have a spare pen on you by any chance? I know you do.
I don't know how to do
Yes. Yes. You sign here.
I don't have
Participant signature. I'm gonna pass. You're gonna share the pen from your for 2 seconds.
Can I be her legal guardian?
Yes. I will get the guardian.
Wait, can I be her legal guardian?
Why am I shaking so much?
I love how you guys are acting like you've never done this before ever.
I don't remember doing this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You did.
But what's today's date?
The 15th.
Oh, happy Flag Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Flag Day, belated at 17. 17. Because it has to be specific.
Wait, can't Rachel be her own legal guardian?
Yeah,
Thanks,
she is
buddy.
her own legal guardian.
Ooh, look how fancy this is.
6:15.
Yeah.
/17, I forgot to say.
This is, as you can tell, people, this is great. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, we're grateful that you're here. Dylan, do you need a sound check at all, or are they fine with all their nonsense?
You guys should be good.
So, does anyone have any, not you people taking this class, graduate students who are taking this class, and don't give me grief, do you have any questions about this process at all before we begin?
I'm just wondering, can I record with my little beep boop boop?
Yes, absolutely. You absolutely may. So just to remind everybody, informed consent forms. Whenever you do a focus group, if people are under the age of 18, they also need a parent or legal guardian to sign off. We're going to start today. I'm going to introduce myself and explain the process to our participants. And then we'll go into the questions. We'll have time after we get through the regular questions. We'll have time for some impromptu questions. Then we'll dismiss our participants. And any last questions you have about the class, we'll answer. And then we'll be on our way. We'll call it a day. Okay? So, hi everyone. I'm Lori Bindig. And I want to thank you for agreeing to participate in our focus group about youth lifestyles. Today we're going to ask you some questions about your everyday life. There are no right or wrong answers. Don't second guess yourselves. Just be honest. But remember, you are being filmed, and these people are writing a paper on you. Think of this as just a conversation. As you can see, there are some people to my left and my right. You might see them writing down or typing during this focus group. They're just taking notes for their own purposes. Once I've asked you some questions, they're going to ask you some questions. Just like with me, be honest. If you don't understand a question, if you want us to repeat it, explain what we mean, feel free to do that. Again, just like a normal conversation. Before we begin, I just want to make sure that you signed the consent form, which you did. That means you are voluntarily participating in this focus group, and you understand that we are recording it for academic purposes as well as to mock you forever. You can withdraw your consent at any time, which means that you can stop at any time. That's just how it is. We hope that we will not do anything to make you stop. Do you have any questions about this process? All right, so let's start by introducing yourselves. Could you please tell us your first name, your age, what grade you finished, and where you're from, even though everybody knows you're from West Hartford.
I'm Rachel, I'm 19, and I just finished my sophomore year of college.
I'm Nathan, I'm 16, I just finished my sophomore year of high school.
I'm Kayla, I'm 14, and I just finished 8th grade.
So, again, this is all different topics about youth, life, culture. So in general, we're gonna start off just tell us what the average teenager is like, either at your school or at your town. When you think of the average teenager, what's that person like?
A total jerk.
Why do you say that, Nathan?
Because kids are terrible.
Why are they terrible?
I mean, like, I don't know. Somebody elaborate, because I know you guys agree.
They're super fake
Why are they fake?
because they're trying to fit this like ideal teenager that society has put in place for them. So they pretend like they're perfect, but on the inside they have issues.
Coming out hot.
So what's this in your turn? In your view, what do you think is society's ideal teenager?
To have a lot of friends and be attractive to whatever the world wants you to look like at that point, and but also be able to like maintain school and a social life at the same time.
Rachel, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I think that the facade of having a perfect life is something that rules teenage life in the present day, and I think that is definitely exacerbated by the like pervading presence of social media in our lives.
Well, since you mentioned that, well, hold on, I want to go back to one thing Kayla just said, and so you also said like people have like issues on the inside that they can't show. Like, what are those issues? Do you think?
Like being scared to do things, or not wanting to do things, or thinking that something that isn't necessarily the most popular subject at the time is cool.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I feel like people just have to pretend like things don't bother them, or like stuff like that. Like you can't act like you don't want to do something if it's the cool thing to do.
Rachel, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I haven't found that to be true as I've finished high school and like gone through college. But I think that that's something that changes from your mid-teens to your late teens. It starts being kind of just whatever you want to be interested in. People don't really care anymore.
So we're gonna go all over the place because you've already brought up basically every question that we're gonna ask today. But Rachel mentioned social media platforms. So if you use social media, what social media platforms do you use? When did you start using social media? And how did you decide to start using them? Like which platform and when and stuff like that?
I spend most of my time on Snapchat, followed closely by Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. And
Don't get Twitter live tweeting.
no, well, I only live tweet during the horrible Dirty Dancing remake. I think the platform that I've been on the longest is Tumblr, because that tends to have a younger age group on it than the other platforms that I use necessarily have. And I feel like that's because a lot of it is geared towards like TV shows and other interests that older people like might not be as interested in. And Tumblr also like kind of serves as like a refuge for the like misfit 13-year-old that we all think that we are. And then Snapchat I got when I got an Apple device that had a camera. And that's just like everybody uses. It's like a primary mode of communication rather than texting. And then Instagram and Facebook are primarily photo sharing, which again, like, I think has a lot to do with people wanting their lives to seem perfect, and so they want to post all these heavily doctored images of like just the best part of their month and not the nitty gritty.
Yeah. So I use Instagram and Snapchat. I think what Rachel said is right. Like about Instagram, people use Instagram to be like, look at what I'm doing and what you're not doing, and how much cooler I am because of it. And I mean, I'm guilty of that too. Like posting like cool like stuff that I bought, like stunting or something. Like yeah, it's like a common thing, like stunting for the gram. That's what it's called. So like you like put on all the stuff you just bought. You go to this cool location. You put a cool filter on it. Everybody's like, oh, this kid's so cool. He's got no worries. He's just living life. And it's like, yeah, not really. And then Snapchat, like that's like all the time. Like it's really easy to just send like half of your face, because I feel like you look twice as good. If somebody can only see half of like your blemishes, you look twice as good. So that's always really easy to do. So yeah, I use that a lot too.
When did you start using social media?
I was her age, I think, like 13.
I'm 14.
You're 30. Oh wow. Well, 13. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I use Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. I started using them with permission a few months ago.
What about without permission? And I think that we can open that up. And there's obviously what happens in the focus group stays in the focus group.
I started using them without permission like a year or two ago.
You got caught.
But I got caught. But I think that I use Snapchat the most because it's what my friends use and we communicate a lot through that and it's fun. And I also use Instagram to be like, wow, my life is so cool, but like, it's not actually. And I only go on Facebook to check sports groups that I'm in for when I go to high school next year.
So, Rachel, I think you said something about like texting versus Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know like group chats are a thing as well, but would you say Snapchat supersedes that? Like nobody texts anymore, or like what's the hierarchy, or how does that look in the world? Like,
Mm-hmm. I mean, Snapchat like just got a feature where you can have group chats on it, and I think that was like one of the primary ways that like Apple iMessage was like still more popular. But I mean, at this point, for me at least, it feels like I use them almost equally. Snapchat maybe a little bit more. And like, I mean, just I feel like this is probably specific to my friend group. Is that like a lot of people that I know, like, were super into group chats for a hot minute, and then we're like, no, this is actually super annoying, I hate all the notifications. And so, like, a lot of the group chats that I had even just, like, a year ago, now, like, nobody uses, and we just text each other individually, which I don't like, because that's, like, super inconvenient, but I found that for a lot of people that I know, and it's probably just specific to, like, the people that I know because of the college I go to and the classes I take and blah, blah, blah. People, like, all of a sudden are not about group chats. I don't know why.
group chats, yay or nay?
Yay. But I feel like texting, like, group chats is for, like, sharing memes and stuff and just talking about, like, stupid stuff, or if, like, the entire group's gonna hang out, you text there. And I also feel like texting is for, like, urgent stuff, like, send me pictures of the homework. Not that I would
ever do that.
Or stuff like that. Well, like, Snapchat is, like, casual conversation and stuff like that.
My friends are super into group chats, like maybe a little bit too into them. And I don't really feel one way or another about them. We mostly use them to like talk, to like gossip. Gotta watch my language.
You can swear within reason. Don't scandalize. This is a Catholic university.
We use them to talk a lot of shit. But I think that it's just like a way for mass communication and not really like anything special.
So we've got group chats for talking shit. What are the things that both we've got memes, group chats for memes. We've got Snapchat for half your face pictures. Instagram for showing perfect lives, right? Would you say that's for you, or is that everybody at your school? Like, tell me a little bit more about things you post, or elaborate again on things you post on any of these platforms. And then what about, do people at school use it the same way, or do people at school use it anywhere? Like, Nathan, are you just stunting for the gram, but are other people, like, using it some other way?
No, I think like flexing on the gram. I'm gonna keep throwing these new things in. I think like flexing on the gram is like a common thing that like everybody will do. But I think like what Rachel said like about like her friend group like not really using group chats. I think that's like just for her, for like certain like people. But I think like for the most part like everybody kind of uses it the same way.
What I think is really interesting is that, well, the vast majority of people that I know, whatever they post on their Rinsta or their real Instagram is like the perfected version of themselves, except for I have one friend who's just like crunchy, like a lot of my friends are, and she has told me that she doesn't understand the concept of Finstas or fake Instagrams, which is where people post their more real selves, and people will post like a really ugly picture of themselves on purpose and then have like a paragraph of like ranting about something on their Finsta. Usually people only like post things on their Finsta for like, people usually only let people follow their Finsta if they're close with them and trust them, and then their Finsta is like where they post whatever they're feeling like. But like I do have one friend who treats her Insta as her Finsta and doesn't understand the concept of keeping that unfiltered part of yourself hidden away from the people that follow you.
So, and Kayla, if you want to jump in and add anything, that's fine. So why do you think people have Rinstas and Finstas and do all of you?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And would you say that's just unique to you, or unique to your school, or unique to all youth now? Or youth in West Hartford?
I don't know, I feel like it's like a pretty common thing to do. I only like use like my Finsta like if I have like a really funny picture of myself or of her that I want to like share with like a bunch of people, but I don't want to like send it in all the group chats that I'm in. So it's like, I don't know, there's two different like forms of like that mass like spreading of information, whether it's like the group chats or like your Finsta. If that makes any sense.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead, Marissa.
So, like, why wouldn't you post, like, a funny picture of yourself on your real Instagram?
Well, because you got to pretend like you're perfect. And you got to show off those new shoes that you bought or that cool place that you went. And you don't want to, like, show, like, people, like, you sitting down with, like, your fat rolls, like, eating a donut or something. Because, like, nobody does that.
How many followers do you have on, like, your real one versus your fake one?
I mean, like, not to brag or anything. But I have like 800 something on my real Insta and like 50 something or like 100 something on my fake one.
Rachel, what are your numbers?
Are we trying to get really competitive right now?
or you can just say like how small, or compare. It's not a competition,
No.
but just like is it that broad distinction between real and fake? Like how?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for my Finsta is probably like 15% of my followers from my Insta.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. We know it's 801.
Yeah.
Kayla, what about you?
My regular Instagram has like 470 followers, I think, and my Finsta has like 120. But I also let like basically anyone that I know follow my Finsta because I don't care if people like see me being ugly or if they like see me like ranting.
Respect.
What's the difference between your Finsta and your Insta then?
My Insta is pretty, like I try to make it pretty, and like that's really most of like the attractive people follow me. And then like my Finsta, it's like people that I know. but like I'm not trying to impress.
And I don't know if this is like as common or if like you two like know any people who do this, but there's like the Rinsta, the Finsta, and the exclusive of Finsta.
Oh yeah,
That where, like, only,
exclusive is intense.
10 people follow it, and it's pictures of them like throwing up, or like
or like calling
nudes
people
or
out.
something, or like yeah.
Who do you follow?
I don't follow any of them. I hear about it.
Or like calling people
yeah.
out by name is on the exclusive,
Yeah.
but then like subtweeting people is on the Finsta.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
So
I
let's
subtweet a lot.
so let's talk about subtweeting. And Kayla, you also mentioned gossip versus Rinsta Finsta exclusive or group chat. Like, tell us about that.
All right, so I feel like I'm like dominating the
Yeah,
conversation. You guys can.
Well, I subtweet people a lot on my Finsta. On occasion, if I'm like talking about someone and I know that they follow me, I'll tag them if I'm feeling really like fearless. Like these two boys were being like really, really like sexist and like mean and objectifying me and my best friend, and I was calling them out on my Finsta and I tagged them because it's like.
Okay, that's fine.
And like I also just really don't care. I don't have an exclusive though. Do either of you?
I don't know. I hate that.
Do you subtweet?
No, but I've been subtweeted many a time.
Have you been subtweeted by other guys or girls?
Like mostly just like girls.
Girls.
Like, it's like if you have a problem, like just
Say
say
it to my
face. Like I hate that. I hate like
I agree.
like you see that and they're like don't you hate it when someone like blah 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 happens? And I'm like I know that you're talking about me. Like say so I always comment like LOL or something like that. So they know that I know, and it's like you should have just said something. Cause like if you're subtweeting someone, then it's like you're being like you're like attacking them. But then like I feel like if you just talk to somebody, then like you can work a problem out. But then like when it's like the subtweet, when it's like involving all these other people that you like
Yeah,
follow
it's like
into
just have
it.
a heart to heart with
It's
the
like-
person. A
it's like-
sacred heart to
and
heart.
Whoa. And then so like no, but like if like you're subtweeting someone, then like it can go like back and forth like with like between these two people, and like
It's
then,
like
like
when
the
you
problem just gets bigger and bigger.
it's like when you subtweet, you're like salty and you're enjoying being salty.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to actually solve the problem that you're salty
I
about.
completely agree, but I'm still gonna continue to subtweet.
And why, Kayla? Why then?
Because, well, I mostly subtweet about people that this doesn't really make sense, but like I can't talk to them. Like it's just a situation where like it would make things worse if I talked to them. Yes, Nathan? or I'm planning to talk to them. I don't know. It feels good.
Yeah, no, it's also just like
yeah,
it's like
it feels
it's like
good.
I don't do it, but I can see the appeal of it. Like it's fun to be like
Yeah.
Gets
to like
you,
make fun of like someone without
attention.
actually like saying their name. Yeah, and people like this is like the classic like oh my gosh, it's the classic like some like subtweets and then like all of their like best friends are like
Yeah.
text me, oh my
Text me
gosh,
already.
text me, and it's like this is like text the group chat then. Like you're all gonna be texting each other anyway.
I agree. Actually, subtweeting is really annoying. Maybe I'll stop.
We're making progress here.
It's actually so annoying.
Rachel, when have you ever subtweeted, and under what circumstances?
I feel like the only time that I've ever done something like that is, alright, it was on my Finsta. It was 1:30 in the morning. I was like doing homework and not doing homework at the same time. And I posted a really, really ugly selfie on my Finsta. It was like my roommate was asleep, my like desk lamp was on, and so it's like really dimly lit and it's from like down here, and I'm making a face like, and the caption is 1:22 a.m. thinking about how petty I am, and like that was it. So it wasn't like calling someone out, because I'm not like that. I don't like call people out. I don't like
I love it's me.
unless it's you two. But anyway, I don't like, cause I'm really petty, but in like a very subtle way. This is like I will specifically not like, I'll see all of your Instagram posts and not like them on purpose.
Yeah.
Or like I won't watch your Snapchat story or like something like that. It's like very indirect, and you have to be really paying attention to catch it. But I'm not gonna post on my Finsta being like, oh, like I hate when like so and so's like stupid boyfriend like shows up and like is hanging out with us even though I hate him.
Okay,
No,
you know what?
Alright, you go first.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we're gonna let Haley ask a question.
But you know how people are like, if you're really mad at someone, just like fake write them a text message, but don't actually send it. Like get your feelings out like that. That's what subtweeting is for me. Like on my Finsta, that's me getting all of my anger out. Like I'm just so wrapped up in like how upset I am that I need to get it out. And my Finsta is a way to do it without calling someone out by name.
And let me just ask, do you think you folks are anomalies with subtweeting, or do you think everybody else, do you think you're weirdos, or do you think that other people your age do the same thing,
Oh, no,
or treat it the same
100%
way?
Everybody does this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's less common for my age group, but I've seen
Maturity.
I've seen it like a couple times. Like I have like one or two friends who will like post about it, like subtweet people like on their Twitter or on their or on their Finstas. But like the vast majority of the time, I like don't see anything like that, and it's just like very subtle things such as like not paying anyone any attention on social media.
I was gonna say like really quick before she asked her question, like when you said like your thing like 1:22 a.m. feeling how petty I am, I'm like I hate that because anybody who has ever done you wrong is like
That's exactly why she does it. Yeah.
I gotta sleep with one eye open now.
Yeah, that's her goal.
I'd hate that.
Do you know her?
Gosh.
Haley, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, when you have your Finsta and there's people who like but then you have your exclusive Finsta, do you feel like people might screenshot things or like, because you have that need to be perfect on your real one and then you post in quotes ugly pictures on your fake one, but do you ever think those fake pictures would get out?
Like usually
Brilliant question.
like a Finsta is like just people that like you trust and like like wouldn't do something like that.
You would hope.
But there have been a few scenarios where that's happened to me, and that's a quick block.
I'm like the biggest culprit of screenshotting things. Like literally a few minutes ago. But if it was something that I didn't think that person would want me to share, then I absolutely would not. Like I definitely want to respect people's privacy, and I would hope that people would do the same to me. But I also don't really care. Like it's on social media, so you need to like, if you're putting it on social media, you need to be aware that this could end up being anywhere. And if you don't want that, then you probably shouldn't post it.
Rachel, what about you and the screenshotting?
I like don't really post much that I would like be upset if like a screenshot is like very confrontational, and like on Snapchat you get a notification.
Oh yeah, Snapchat.
Never
Actually, I screenshot Snapchat.
What?
Okay.
That's blasphemy.
I'm a really bad person.
It's like very confrontational. Instagram doesn't give you a notification, but like I don't really post anything that like if it was screenshotted and like passed around, I would be scandalized. It would be a little bit like, why are you so obsessed with me? But like I wouldn't be like upset about it.
Also, your Finsta is mostly like, I really like my outfit today.
Yeah, it's me
Like,
being
so
like,
versus, like, cute
I look
stuff.
cute as hell today. Instead of like posting on my Rinsta just like a picture of myself where I do look cute as hell, but captioning it something else.
No. And I mean, your Finsta is super cute, so I'm not going to judge.
Stop gassing her.
I love
So,
her.
so can you think of any people from school or that you know who don't use social media at all?
That's only like the kids whose like families don't own TVs because they wanted to like study instead.
I have one friend who doesn't use social media, but that's only because she got her phone taken away for like a year.
So if you're in trouble and you're kicked off social media by your parents, if they're hippies basically who do you, and are you just hypothesizing, or can you think of like a specific person?
Let me tell you.
I couldn't tell you.
My man George. Yeah. My man George. His family does not own a TV. He does not have a phone. And when he tells his mom that he's bored, she's like, "Go study. Go learn a new language." And it's wild, and I feel bad for him. Yeah.
All right. Okay, in my age group, it has nothing to do with your parents. I have a couple friends who will like try not to be on social media. Like I've had friends who like delete all of their accounts and then come back like 2 weeks later because they're bored and miss it and they feel like they're out of the loop. Because like if you're not on Snapchat, then you're not seeing like people posting pictures from events that you go to. And if you're not on Instagram, it's the same thing. If you're not on Facebook, then you're not getting invited to parties and events and things because like that's how people do it. And so I've had people try and fail. I've had people also just delete their Facebooks, which I think is interesting because I wouldn't think that Facebook would be like the most toxic of the social media platforms, if you ask me personally. But I've had people I know people who like only have like 1 or 2 accounts or like don't use them very often. And I had a friend who like for a class had to like not use any like her phone, her computer, like nothing for like 48 hours or something, and it was impossible because like she couldn't, I mean she did it for the grade, but she like couldn't like make plans to like eat with anybody. And so it's like very impractical to not be on social media at all.
And what would you think if someone said they weren't using social media or were going off social media totally by choice? What would you think if they told you that? Or if you met someone like at a party or something and they were like, and you're like, oh, what's your Instagram or whatever, like, and they're like, oh, I don't use social media. What would you think of that person?
If I just met them, I would think they were pretentious. And be like, oh, all right, so I guess you think you're better than everybody because you're above it all, I guess. But because like I said, I've had people like try to just go completely off the grid, and when that happens, I'm like, okay, good luck with that, but like it's just not practical at all.
I mean, like, I feel like also like depending on who the person is, if they're this avid social media user, then all of a sudden they just like they're just completely gone. I could like wonder if they're like okay, or if like something's like wrong with them or something like that.
Kayla, what about you?
I don't really care. Like if someone's not on social media, I'm just like, okay, cool. But I do agree with Nathan. Like if, honestly, any of my friends are like, I'm taking a break from social media, I would definitely like wonder if there's something wrong.
So we're jumping all over the place, but Rachel, you just talked about like using your phone or using social media to make plans, and like if you're not using it, it's really hard to make plans. And also like showing people your lives and the cool parties and things that are happening. People talk about fear of missing out or FOMO. Do you think social media has any impact on that? Have you ever had any sort of experience with that? Like,
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes. And I felt that, I think I've actually felt that more now that I'm in college, because when you live with all of your friends, if one night you're just chilling by yourself and you think that's what everyone else is doing, and then you check your Snapchat and actually everyone else is hanging out, don't.
Rachel's not bitter or anything.
If you like check your Snapchat and you see like, oh, like there actually is this, like all this stuff happening, it's like different because you're together all the time and you're like, well, like, why aren't we together right now? Like, why is everyone like posting about this or like whatever? And like it's interesting because I've also had friends say that like they want to see all the pictures people post because they want to know like what is happening in their friends' lives, but I've also had people say like I don't want to know because that'll just make me feel bad.
No, I have like severe FOMO. there was a point in my life where I was grounded for an extended period of time, and there were all these things that like I could have gone to or I was invited to, and I was like seeing them on Snapchat or people like pictures that people were posting, and I just kind of felt like I was like growing apart from all these people, even though I'd only been like a couple months, and I was like, I felt like, and like I know this like isn't like the case at all, but I feel like when people are out doing stuff that I couldn't go to, I wasn't invited to, I feel like they're like purposely posting more things just to spite me, just to show, look how much fun we're having, and you're not here, Nathan. But that's actually not the case at all. So, yeah, it's a struggle, to say the least.
Kayla, FOMO?
I guess I have a little bit of FOMO. Yes.
I'm gonna wait to hear what you say.
Okay, I complain a lot about my friends never doing anything, but that's just everyone isn't doing anything. Not, I never get invited to things. I specifically, and that's mostly a joke sometimes.
Well, go ahead.
I guess like when my best friend gets invited to things and I don't, I get a little bit jealous. But other than that, most of the things that I see on social media are like parties that if I did get invited to, I know that I would be like pressured into doing inappropriate things, like such as drugs and others. Even yeah. I've told you so many stories.
I was playing with Barbies when I was 14.
And a lot of people that I know do drugs. Yeah. So I'm not really upset when I miss those types of things. But like when my close friends like are doing things without me, I get a little bit jealous.
So I also have some insight into your lives, and I'm gonna pick on Kayla because I know she can handle it. And this is what I was thinking of with fear of missing out. I know that you have some friends who sometimes you're sick of or not sick of, and you're like, no, I'm done with her for whatever reason, or this person's being annoying. But then like 2 days later, you'll be hanging out with them because it's like, well, I didn't want to say no, or like I didn't have any, you know what I mean? So can you elaborate on that? And then maybe that's a good segue into talking about perhaps frenemies and if that's a thing.
Well, I feel really bad when someone invites me to do something, like especially when it's just like one-on-one and I say no, because I don't like want to hurt their feelings. So sometimes someone that I really don't want to be friends with and is making poor decisions and I don't want in my life and is super mean and rude, like invites me to like sleep over and go swimming, and I go because it's a pool and I like don't want to hurt their feelings.
Do you have friends like that, either of you, or is it different as you get older?
I feel like not really, and the whole like frenemies like thing, I feel like is mostly centered around like pettiness, like what Rachel was talking about before. And there's like stuff like that. It's not like clear like things that people like go out of their way to like one day like completely isolate you, and like a couple days later like hit you back up. It's just like little like stuff like here and there, just to be petty.
Do you feel like frenemies, like all of you, are more gendered towards like girls than boys having frenemies, or do you see it?
I mean, I feel like I don't have any frenemies, so I'm geared to think that it's mostly like a thing that girls do, but I'm not sure how true that is.
I honestly am not one to stereotype, but I do have to agree that it is more of a girl thing, because I know that like with my guy friends, there's like nothing like that, and they don't really talk about that kind of stuff, but me and my girlfriends definitely like are more aware of that.
They also might not talk about it because boys are conditioned to not talk about their feelings and their issues. I go to a women's college, so I don't know very many boys, so I can't speak to that.
Just me.
Just me then. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any friends who I'm like on and off with like that. I have friends who think that they're my friend, but actually I hate them.
That's so relatable.
That's relatable.
And it's not that like we hang out and then I'm like, yeah, well I'll act like I'm your friend. It's like they do repeated things that really irritate me, and then I like try not to talk to them, but then it's still like I can tell that from their end there's still an assumption that there isn't a relationship there, and it like manifests itself in like, I don't know, like I was invited to this girl's birthday party by this other girl who I don't really like, and I was like, why are you inviting me? But it's because we're in the same friend group, and so if they don't invite me, then it's weird with our other friends. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know what to think of it.
So how is that different than frenemies?
It's like, I don't know.
'Cause I feel like, to speak for you,
Yeah.
I feel like frenemies, like at one point you were friends, and then something happens, you guys have like a half falling out,
And it's
and you
mutual.
aren't. Yeah.
Then it's, I feel like it is, there's something a little bit mutual about frenemies, whereas like a lot of these things, it's not necessarily one, like a lot of these like semi-friendships, I guess you can call them, it's not like there's one thing that like made us like hate each other. It's like, I'm not having a fulfilling relationship, I'm not getting anything fulfilling out of staying friends with this person, and so I'm trying to like let them go, and then they're not letting me let them go.
And I like know people, like what you said earlier, like I've had like 4 conversations with you. Why are you like giving me a hug in the hallway? And that's not like a friend of me. That's kind of like an awkward acquaintance
Yeah.
who thinks that like it's more of a friendship.
So speaking of friendship, speaking of groups of friends, in your, I think it's safe to say like middle school and high school experience, were there cliques or social groups in your schools?
100%.
Yeah.
And so what are they? What would be some of the groups? How would you break them down? How would you describe people?
It's ready? Okay. I feel like there's a lot of gender and racial cliques, and I don't know if that's forced or if it's just what happens, but I feel like there's like the group of white girls, the group of like black girls, the group of Indian girls, and like same goes for boys, and they're often separated into girls and boys, and then there's a few groups that are not just separated by race or by gender, which are the groups that I prefer to belong to, and then there's also like the theater kids and the math kids, and like very stereotypical stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think like the whole thing about like black boys, black girls, white boys, white girls is like a very like real thing. And like also like the mixed groups, because like at like the beginning of the year, I tried to sit at a lunch table that had boys and girls and people from like all these like different ethnicities, backgrounds is maybe a better way to phrase that. But then like I like slowly like as like the year went on, it just like like all these people went back to their like groups, and so my table ended up being all white kids, even though that's not all all white boys, even though that's not what like I wanted it to be, and that's not what it was at the beginning.
And that's not your like main friend group either.
No, because like I feel like, and like my like main friend group is it is like mixed like boys and girls, but it's all white kids and one Asian girl, and like that's terrible. I hate that.
That's not true, Bella.
She's basically.
Nathan!
I guess she's like Latina.
She's white.
She had a quinceañera.
Alright. She's white passing, and Nathan doesn't
Either way.
Stop talking for a second.
That's terrible. No, but like my main point was that like people like feel comfortable in their like set groups, and like when they go away from those groups and a black kid sits with like a white table, it's like weird and like awkward, like even if that's not like how people want it to be.
Yeah, and I feel like within cliques that are like people of color, they tend to blend more like gender wise, whereas I feel like white boys and white girls are very separated, and I don't know why, but it's like that.
If we want to focus specifically on like grade school, when I was in high school, I think I noticed it more cleanly divided along, I guess almost class lines.
Yeah, no, that's
I was just gonna ask that.
Because thinking about it now, it seemed to be mostly the wealthy kids who could afford nicer clothes and like were like attractive because they could afford better beauty products, it seemed like there was kind of like, and then so they could afford all these nicer things, and then more people gravitated towards them, and then like that's kind of like who the popular kids are, and like because of interactions between race and class, most of these kids were white.
Yeah.
And so I think I noticed it more that like there were these kids who were popular. They're mostly white, mostly wealthy, and like for them I didn't notice it as much being divided along gender lines. And then there kind of just seemed to be like the rest of us, and there were some people that you were closer with, but I feel like I didn't notice hard line cliques outside of that very much.
So I'm hearing race, I'm hearing class, I'm hearing gender. Now, Kayla sort of mentioned like what people's interests were, like the theater kids, the math geeks. Did you feel that way in high school, or was it much more, did those groups, like, did the jocks and the math geeks intersect if they were both like rich and white? Like, does that make sense? Or are there subdivisions within that, or?
I feel like, well, I agree that like with Caleb specifically about like theater, I found that theater could be kind of a cult.
I wish I could disagree.
And I knew that because I was kind of on the fringes of theater. Like I did makeup for the musicals, and so I wasn't like in the cast, like super invested, but I was like, I still had a front seat to like these kind of the clickiness of the entire drama department, and like the athletes all hung out together, but like not exclusively. And like, I mean, other than that, and like it theater, because of like socio-political like issues, theater tends to be whiter. So a lot of these kids were white, but not exclusively at all. So yeah, I don't know. No, I didn't know. I guess I didn't notice it so much along interests.
Nathan, what about you?
I feel like what Rachel's like said about class was 100% correct, because like I feel like myself personally, like I don't fit in at all with the kids who are like upper class, and it's not because of like any specific reason other than like I didn't go to their same school, and I don't wear like the same clothes as them, and I don't do this, and I don't do that, and like my parents aren't gonna buy me a car as soon as I get my license, and so I've like my opportunity to be involved in that group has like passed, and so like I fall back into like this like what Rachel said, like the rest of us, and how we're all like grouped together, like without those rich kids like being involved.
Do you think that these are fairly common across all high schools? Like, and I know that there's another high school in your town, and some of you know other high schools like nearby for friends. Like, do you think that's fairly common in Connecticut or in our parts of Connecticut, or who can say?
I mean, I would assume so. I haven't really heard anything differently from the people that I've met in college who went to different high schools all across the country and like all across the world. I haven't really heard them talk about high school in any other way. So it seems to me that it's semi-universal, at least.
So do you feel like there's pressure to fit into one particular group, or is it easy to sort of float amongst them all, or does it just sort of happen like Nathan's talking about in the cafeteria, where people might try and then somehow they go back?
I feel like myself, like personally, I kind of like try to float in between like these different groups, but I think for like a lot of people, it's easiest just to stick with like the people who look most like you, or act most like you, or have the same interests as you, and so it's hard to like separate yourself from those groups.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot, I like to float around to different groups, but I sometimes feel like school is like a really good like metaphor for it, is like that scene in High School Musical where they sing like, no, 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 stick to the status quo, like that part. I feel like that's like a really good representation of what, I don't know about high school, but like what my middle school experience has been like, even though I try to like expand and go to other groups and welcome other people into my group. I feel like it's very much so no, you're not in this group, even though I have met like plenty of people that are very welcoming. It's especially for people who are lower class or not white, or not straight or not cisgender. Like, it's very much so, no, you stick with like your kind and like don't merge with us.
Yeah, and I think like there's a lot of like hostility, like sometimes when like you're trying to merge these groups, because there's always like clique like leaders or like people at like the top of the pack, and I feel like those people like to keep it very like divided and like very clear lines. And so if you try to enter one of these groups, they're the first person to be like, no, like you're not hanging out with us.
And so I don't even know how to ask this or like where I'm going with this question, so just try to figure it out, say something. But like, so are there standards or rules or requirements or pressures for like maintaining, like for staying in a group as well as for like trying to join? Like, this question was submitted well, I just butchered it, so I'm trying to make it fit. So like do you think that there's anybody who's friends with like the rich F boys who does not wear like Vineyard Vine shorts with like whales on them?
I mean, I feel like there's like some of that, but it's also like super rare. Cause like I feel like it always goes back to like the who like you like look like most like. Like that's why like all like the black kids gravitate to each other and like not to the white kids. That's why like the girls all gravitate towards each other instead of like merging with the boys. And so I think it's all like how you look, how you dress, how you act, how you talk, stuff like that.
Was it always like that, do you think, or did it kind of more become divided like that as you got older?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely like when you're in like elementary school, it's like everybody's like melded together, and then like as like you like go up until I guess like college, because I don't know, but like as you go up, it becomes more and more clear lines.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to say that I think it's probably easier, well, because I think that their whiteness is kind of a default, and so I think it's probably easier for the rich white kids to like talk to and be part of other like cliques that might be lower in the food chain, and I do think that goes back to like whiteness and markers of whiteness being seen as a default, because I think it would be more likely to see like a friendly white guy wearing like Vineyard Vine shorts talk to like a group of poorer kids than to see the other way around.
I also feel like, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but in my school there's a group of popular, it's mostly girls who are like real jerks, and they're popular because they make everyone feel worse about themselves, and they welcome in people of color and people who are poorer than them, but it's really just for comedy's sake, and they're kind of like the comedic relief in their group, and it's not real friendship, and they do it the same way to kids with disabilities. Like, from the outside it'll seem like they're being really nice, but really you know that they're just like torturing them.
So this might be a good time to segue into talking about bullying. How would you describe bullying, or when you hear the term bullying or cyberbullying, what do you think of?
Someone doing something that is purposefully meant to make you feel bad about yourself on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And have you ever witnessed or heard about school bullying in school?
All the time.
I feel like in high school, at least, I don't know if this is just me, but like it's less common to hear about like somebody being bullied, because then like if you admit to being bullied, you kind of get made fun of more. And they're like, oh, why didn't you just do this and this? Or like, why didn't you like fight them or like hit them or something? And like, since like if you didn't do that and just like allowed yourself to be bullied, you get made fun of more. So like people don't really talk about it.
I have a question. I'm a teacher, so at a high school, so I'm always thinking about that. So
if a teacher were to ask you, or if a teacher witnessed you getting bullied and being a good teacher wanted to talk to you about it and maybe process it with you and then see if you wanted to go further with it, even if the teacher like literally saw something happen, would you probably play it off just so that you could avoid that stigma of yes, I was bullied?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, however, like, sad that is, like, for me personally, like, if that was happening to me, I'd try to be like, oh, no, like, it was nothing, like, it's fine, like, don't worry about it, even if it was, like, a thing that was, like, really, like, bothering me, just because, like, admitting to that, like, weakness of, like, being bullied opens you up to, like, so much more stuff, I feel like.
Because you think, like, you feel like it would get out?
Yeah, yeah. If you're, like, going to see, like, your guidance counselor more often, or, like, staying after with a specific teacher, people are gonna, like, start wondering, start talking, start studying rumors and stuff like that.
So what can teachers do about bullying? Like, I mean, if kids won't even admit to being bullied, what could a teacher do?
I feel like it's hard, cause you don't wanna, like, you don't wanna, like, open, like, that specific kid up to, like, more stuff, like, that they're experiencing, but then you also don't wanna, like, let it happen and, like, possibly, like, lead to, like, more, like, serious things. So, like, I don't really know.
I would say that, like, if this was happening to me, I would want the teacher to, like, talk to whoever is, like, doing the bullying specifically and be like, I saw this, not I saw you doing this to someone else, like, not even mention anyone else, because I feel like that would make it just as bad. But I mean, the teachers and the guidance counselors at my school don't really do anything. Yeah, they really suck at punishing people.
So Kayla, you said like bullying happens every day in middle school.
Yeah.
Is there a particular instance that you're thinking of that you'd share with us, or like how did you witness it or heard about it, or how did the school react? Like, were there ever that were like a super big deal or anything like that?
Well, I don't know if I'd say that it is a big deal, but I wouldn't say that this is like the biggest deal. But there's a boy in my grade, and his name is Aiden, and he is one of the worst human beings I've ever met. Like, I don't like saying this about people, but legitimately, if he fell off the face of the earth, I would not be sad. Like, he is the worst person, and he stands for everything that I hate. And he has always been a real jerk to me, but I don't really care because, like, he's so beneath me that I don't waste my time. But one of my friends, her name is Stephanie, and she's very, like, self-conscious about her body, and this boy Aiden really likes to pick at that and, like, call her fat, and like, he says very sexist things and makes jokes about, like, sleeping with her mom. Don't know why, and it's all the time. It's in front of teachers, and no one does anything, and it really, really hurts her, and I've offered to step in, and I've offered to get her help, but she really doesn't want it. Like, she just does not want to make a huge deal out of it. But it's just, like, I feel even if I did say something, nothing really changed.
Can either of you think of things that have happened at high school?
I mean, like, I feel like it's not, like the cliche, like, knocking some kid's books out of his hand, like, as you walk by.
That happens in middle school.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Think of something more creative if you're gonna.
I mean, once I was walking through the stairwell and someone just, like, punched someone else.
Nice. No, so it's not like that, and, like, I've never, like, really seen something outright, but it's, like, constantly, like, making fun of someone, like Kayla's, like, constantly pointing out, like, stuff that they're self-conscious of.
Yeah, and, like, picking, if it was just, like, your hair looks weird, like, but it's not just that, it's, like, picking at something
like,
that you know that they're insecure about.
Rachel, can you? Oh, Bethany, go ahead.
I wanted to ask that question because we brought it up last time. Do you see a difference between bullying and gossiping about someone? Or would you think that's still a form of bullying?
I think, like, there's, like, a very fine line, because, like, I talk about people, like, all the time, but I feel like once that leads into, like, leaving your circle, or, like, people, like, doing stuff about it, or posting something online, or, like, saying something to them directly, it can like gossiping about somebody can lead to more like serious things, and that's when it becomes bullying.
Yeah, and I feel like gossiping is more like, this person did this and it was really annoying, or like, why are they doing that? That's super weird. Whereas like bullying is more like directly to the person and like about things that they can't change.
Rachel, anything you want to jump in or add about any of this?
Well, I mean, I feel like thinking back, I can't pick out like specific instances where I saw bullying in middle school or in high school. And I wonder, I mean, I know that like it would happen, but like nothing is coming to my mind. I wonder if that's just because like I didn't hang out with kids who like bullied other people, and I also like didn't really hang out with anyone who talked about being bullied if they were, or maybe it's because like they didn't say the word bullying, like maybe they called it something else, which I feel like is common. I feel like all these like anti-bullying initiatives that like schools do, I feel like they're really ineffective because nobody says like I'm being bullied. Like people
I feel like
say like this girl is like calling me horrible, offensive, misogynistic names behind my back, and rather than saying like this girl is bullying me, they'll say, or like something like that, or like this guy is like trying to like really annoy me or whatever. I feel like people don't call it the way that and school administrations call it.
Yeah, I feel like the like bullies / like bullying like term is like really like been like overused to a point where like people saying that now it's like and like it's been like said like so much, and like it was like preached to us like throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school that it's like a joke now. So like if like one of like, your friends like makes fun of you, it's like I'm being bullied when like you're actually not. And so like it's like bullying has become like this less serious thing than like it was once considered.
So, how does online or how does social media come into play with bullying? Do you think it happens a lot, or is it more face to face? Do you see like do people like, or is it just now all subtweeting? What do you think?
I don't know if I would say necessarily bullying happens online, but I feel like it's a lot more harassment.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Tell us what you mean.
Like, for example, like a guy like sees a girl that he thinks is pretty and like follows her Instagram and is now like pushing dating her or like doing inappropriate things, and she's like, no, stop, and he continues to do it and say inappropriate things to her. Like I would say that that's definitely more common, at least for my group, than like direct bullying.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any instance where I've seen anything happen online, and maybe that's because it gets deleted so fast, or maybe it's because I wasn't friends with people like that. I don't know, but I can't really think of anything.
I'm thinking of Change the Chieftain.
Right. Well, I did. In high school, I was the student leader of a campaign to change my high school's Indigenous mascot, and we were semi-successful in the end. But a lot of the stuff that I guess I was the only person I ever saw it happening to then, besides like the other people who were like on my team, and that was a lot of like, a lot of it was from like grown adults in the community. I had like this grown man like get in a fight with me and like start calling my parents names and like like on this like Facebook group for like everyone that like lived in my town, and so like things like that. But and then like in the Facebook group for all of the senior girls to post their dresses that they were wearing to prom, so no one wore the same one. I posted a picture of the dress I was wearing, and this like horrible person. I have stronger words for her than that, but this horrible person commented just with like a picture of our mascot, and that was it. And I was like, cool. And like my friends like like defended me. I didn't even most of this stuff I didn't answer because I was more concerned with the branding of this campaign that I was leading, and so I wasn't about to like get in fights with people on Facebook. I would let other people who weren't directly associated handle it, and I was just like not gonna answer it until that one guy like brought up my parents, and then I got in a fight with them, but it was fine. But yeah, I mean that was the thing that I saw, and that was like 100% racial. And it would have been even worse if I was a person of color, like leading this like campaign for to like end this racist symbol. But yeah, that was it. Now that I completely forgot about that actually. But yeah.
All right, there was supposed to be no trauma that came from this.
No, I think it just like wasn't that important to me because like ultimately we were like semi-successful with like getting the logo changed. We didn't get the like name of our mascot changed, but that doesn't really matter at this point because like there's no more like caricatures like on our gym floor or like anything like that, and so I think most of what happened didn't really stick with me because like I knew that I was in the right, and it wasn't like they were attacking me personally like for no reason. It was they were attacking me personally because they felt like I was dethroning their privilege. So
Yeah, and I mean like people have said to me stuff about that, like people are like, your family's insane. Like literally a boy that I thought was like one of my close friends was like, your family's so stupid. And
Good
like
one.
people like
really hurt me.
okay. And I've like talked about it with people, and when I talk about it, I'm like, I don't care if you agree with it or you disagree with it. This is what I think. And my sister believed this and did something with it, and that's more than you can say. Or like, and people like call Rachel like a bitch to me, and I'm like, cool. Like, thanks for your input.
Yeah, that's outweighed by all of your friends that say that I'm cool because I have a nose ring.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of attention on the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. I know some of you have seen it, some of you have read the book. What's your take on it? Do you think it reflects high school reality, bullying, sexualization of like high school girls and bullying, things like that? Why or why not?
We all have very strong thoughts about
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Well,
Nathan, we have very strong thoughts.
I think
You didn't want to watch it initially.
I just kept watching it because I thought Hannah was pretty. No. And a couple of those things that happened, she like put herself in that situation. And that sounds terrible. But she shows up, I don't know if y'all watched it. She shows up to this rapist's house, gets into her underwear, and goes into a pool. Like, why would you go to a rapist's house?
Bad example, but
Either way. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of, I mean, I think it's also like, I don't know like if I have like anything to say because I'm also not like a woman. And so I think it's completely different for them. So I'm just going to keep quiet.
Shake my hand. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Kayla, your hand went up. What did you want to say?
Well, this is kind of relevant, but they do that because it's supposed to be representing her letting herself give up, and that was supposed to be her final push into committing suicide.
Okay, well now I feel
They talk
bad.
about it more. They talk about
It's
it
in the
more
book.
in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more specific.
Yeah, I watched the series and read the book, and I think that a lot of it is very real, and like
What parts of it are real?
part of it is a group of boys makes a list of like best and worst like physical features, and Hannah gets best ass, which I feel like that's very real, and then that opens the door for a lot of like over sexualization of her, and I feel like that's very real and relevant, especially for like just my age group gets very over sexualized. Like my dress code, we're literally not allowed to show our bra straps because my nude bra strap is too inappropriate. But I feel like that was very real and relevant, and but it also glorified suicide a little bit, and like the tapes were supposed to represent like her voice living on in these people's lives, which I feel like it's making suicide look like a better option than living, which it's like that's not true. And when you commit suicide, you're done. Like your voice
doesn't live on. You're just dead.
Okay, that sounds so bad, but
I
it's
mean,
not like all these people who did bad things to you are now going to like completely change their lives around. And I feel like that wasn't very realistic.
Going back to Nathan, just to give him a chance to speak while you form your thoughts,
Yeah.
because I know you have a lot of feelings. Or we can even jump if you want to think. Nathan, I feel like I've heard you say your female friends liked 13 Reasons Why, or girls at school,
Yeah.
young women
It's
at
like-
school liked it, and were like, oh my god, it's so good, or something. Like, is that an accurate representation, and did they ever say why they liked it?
No, when they were saying that, I was like still of the opinion like, no, this is stupid. So I didn't really ask. But I feel like it's the same sort of like phenomenon like why everybody like loved like The Catcher in the Rye, because everybody could like relate with Holden, and everybody's like, oh, this book was like written about me. Like this is exactly how I am. This is exactly what I'm feeling. And so I feel like I wouldn't know because I'm not a woman, but I feel like women like in my age group like could sort of like relate with Hannah and be like, oh yeah, like
No, I
this has
think you're
happened to me,
completely right.
or like this like sort of thing has happened, or like I felt this way before, and so like they like were like gravitated towards it.
So I have a lot of feelings. I didn't watch the TV show because I hated the book.
The book was pretty bad.
I read it like 5 years ago, so I don't remember the details of it, but I remember like really like when I was reading it, I was just kind of like, okay. Because I felt like the way that it talked about a lot of issues that a lot of women experience was like not accurate. I felt like, I felt like the main character, okay. So I had a friend who was like very dramatic. Like I'm dramatic, more dramatic. Molly. And she like read the book and loved it because I think she like resonated with a lot of the like intense feelings that Hannah had about these things that happened to her. But I felt like a lot of the things that happened to Hannah happened to a lot of people. And not everyone copes with the same things in the same way. But I felt like the portrayal of Hannah choosing suicide and everyone who had a hand in her like making that decision, then having the tapes and like her suicide like making them like rethink like their moral backgrounds because of these things that they did to her that a lot of people do to a lot of other people, that was very unrealistic. And I thought that I thought that all of those things leading to her suicide was unrealistic because like I can count how many no, I can't count actually because it's so many how many things like that have happened to me and have happened to my friends. And so like I thought that was unrealistic. I thought that it glorified suicide. I thought that it made suicide seem like something that was going to change everyone's life around, when like what happens when someone commits suicide is they commit suicide, and no matter if the people around you see the fact that they drove you to kill yourself, like they still killed you, and like you still killed yourself, and they still had a hand in it. Like that's not gonna change what they did. That's not gonna like bring you back. You're not gonna like come back from the dead and be able to be like, ha, I showed you, like a life ends. And so I thought it glorified suicide. I hated that they made a TV show out of it, and I'm hating that they're making a second season, because like all of these experts about suicide prevention have said don't do this, and have said like this is going to cause copycat suicide, and it has, and it has. And I think the fact that they're making a second season shows that like even though there's all this backlash, they're in it for the money, and I don't think it's trying to like say anything about like the female experience or experiences of suicide. I think it's about like making money, and so I hate it.
I think like in the series, like they they portrayed that they for like weeks and months or whatever it was, like after she committed suicide, like the entire school was still thinking about her. When I feel like, however sad it is, like in actuality, like if someone commits suicide, like everybody's sad and grieving for a week, and then like they have to move on with their own lives, and people like slowly like forget about like that even happening because they have their own like shit to do with like every day.
Yeah.
Kayla, so I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, long before 13 Reasons Why became a TV show, earlier in the fall, there was a girl in your class, I think, or maybe the grade below you, who was hospitalized for suicide attempt?
Yes.
And do you know anything, like, not gossiping, not creating rumors, obviously, but do you know anything about that, or that you think would be relevant to share?
I do know a little bit about it. She is in the grade below me.
So she was a 7th grader.
Yes. And she, I know her family members a little bit, and her parents definitely let her run a little bit wild, and she made some very, very poor decisions with social media. Like she was dating one of my friends and sent him nudes and was very inappropriate with him, and her nudes got out. And that, I totally understand like where she was coming from and that hits hard. So she was hospitalized, and as far as I know, she is doing very well now. But it was like similar in like the like being over-sexualized and like exploited.
Go ahead, Martha.
Was it her boyfriend, or was it just like a guy that she wanted to?
Her boyfriend, yeah.
And then, do you know, did he share it with other people? Did he like forward it, or was it screenshotted, or did he just show them? Or, because it got around the school, right?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of everything. And this also happened with another girl in my grade who sent nudes to a boy, and her nudes were sent all over the place. But she turned to drugs instead of suicide.
Rachel and Nathan. Oh, sorry, Bethany, I keep cutting you off. But has that happened at your high school, or do you think that's more, believe it or not, a middle school thing? Like, or people weren't totally doing it then?
With what specifically?
Like sending nudes or sharing them.
When I was in high school, I didn't know anyone that happened to, where like their nudes were spread around. I knew people that sent them, and like, but I never knew anyone who, like, the person that they sent them to then spread them around. I know of someone who is still in high school who that happened to, but as far as I know, she's like coping and is okay.
Yeah, I don't know anybody where that's like happened to them, but I'm like sure that happens. I just don't know about it.
And well, Bethany, what was your question?
Oh, so the girl who tried to, or she attempted suicide, how was everyone's like reaction and response, like especially the boyfriend, after everyone kind of heard about everything?
Well, the boyfriend was punished. He was suspended from school for a few weeks. 10 days. And I am not really friends with this girl. If I'm brutally honest, she's not my favorite person. I do not think that she should commit suicide whatsoever. She's not my favorite person, so I don't really involve myself in her life. But one of my friends is friends with her, and she was sad, but did not seem like a huge issue. Like, it did not spread around school. People did not talk about it. It seemed like a very like hush hush kind of thing.
So this kid is like one of my best friends, unfortunately.
Wait, the boyfriend or the girl?
Yeah, the boyfriend. And so like he got these pictures and he was like, oh, like my friends like want them, should I send them? I was like, no, like that's like so fucked. Like, do not do that. And so I don't know if he ended up doing it or not, but then like after like it happened, after like she like attempted suicide, like he like didn't talk about it anymore, and he was just like very like quiet about it. And like whenever somebody brought it up, he would like try to like change the subject or something.
Are they still dating?
No.
Did he get in trouble after she tried her attempt, or did they find out about him before?
I'm not like sure about any of that, but like, I know she came clean and like told like an administrator like what happened, and that's how he got in trouble. I don't know if that was like, before or after.
But there are other boys at your school who do that and that were also somehow involved.
Aiden, who I mentioned before, was sending and receiving nudes with his girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend, and I think that it's really disgusting, but they were both okay with it, and it seemed like they were both safe with it, if that makes any sense. Like, whenever I talked to the girl who was sending him nudes, she was like, yeah, it's cool, like, we're both, like, good. And he ended up sending it to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm not friends with that kid.
Yeah. I don't know if I could name someone, like, a boy in my school who didn't see them, because he's that much of an ass. And that girl, I don't really know what happened, and I tried to like offer her some help, but she was very, very quiet about it, and like after they broke up and after this had happened, like a few days later, she had another boyfriend. So I don't know if that was her coping method to like find someone new. But she did smoke a whole lot of weed. But it was just like weird, like very weird.
On to somewhat happier subject. So what would you say are some of the major like trends in your school? Like, what is the thing that everybody has or that everybody likes? Either like music or brands or clothes, like that sort of thing, or in high school, Rachel, because I know you're like in college. In college it's more diverse, and also yours is very specific as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're crunchy.
Well, I think like first and foremost, like trends like control a lot of like what like people like think is cool, or like what people have or what people are buying, and so like it changes all the time. Like what's like a cool thing to do. And like what's trendy and what's trending like controls a lot of that.
I have a question about how do you like find out what's trendy, and how do you know, like where do you get that information from?
Social media. Like when was it? Like the bottle flip challenge. Oh, I'm cringing. But like that, like it was like one like Instagram video, and then it got shared a bunch of times, and everybody was trying it, and all these like new variations of it, so everybody did it. And like so it's just like it's mostly like through like social media how like a trend like becomes a trend.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Do you feel that people are like ostracized if they don't follow a trend? Because if they're changing so quickly, is it hard to keep up? And what happens if people don't? Are they we talked about before, people in certain groups, if they're not keeping up with trends, are they kicked out of that group? Or is it just kind of like, you're lame?
Well, I know that at my school, groups, like certain cliques follow the same trends. So and as far as I know, like they don't really care that much, and they're still gonna be friends. no matter like what you choose to wear or what you choose to do. So I don't really think that it matters, but I can't speak for
Can you
guys.
give one example of one group and like a trend or what they all sort of do or follow?
Yeah, like the popular girls that I mentioned before that are little jerks. They all try to like keep up with like the newest fashion trends and like what models are wearing. And they all seem to do it. So, and it seems like they always like text each other in the morning and they're like, let's look nice today. Let's like wear athletic clothes because they're always wearing like the same outfits. So I don't know if so I don't know if that like matters to them. It seems like it does, but I don't really know.
I feel like, oh, no, it's all you.
Okay. For me in high school, it was not necessarily that like the popular rich kids were like following trends, but more that they were making the trends. And so, like, all of the rich kids had like the same Nike athletic shorts in like a variety of
Right,
colors.
everyone has those black Nike athletic shorts with then like the white stripes on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So annoying.
And like everybody has like Sperry's and everybody has like the same like brand t-shirts and things. And it's more that these wealthy kids who are also the popular kids who are also the attractive kids are like all wearing this, and then you like want to be like them, and so then everybody else wears it.
I think like oftentimes, or like this might just be like from my like weird like friend group, but I feel like sometimes like if you don't follow a trend and everybody else is doing it, that makes you like the new cool kid. And I think that's how trends like come and go like out of like style, because everybody does it except for one kid and he's the new cool guy, and then everybody stops doing it until that kid does something else and everybody does it except one kid. So it's just like this constant like trends like falling in and out of fashion.
So you talked about people will see things like the bottle flip challenge, and follow that, and that'll become a trend, or what people wear at school. What about like TV shows, movies, celebrities? Will people copy that, or is it more people you know in real life? What about like YouTube celebrities or
Well, I know, like,
Vine was really like so
I know
2 years ago, but
rest in peace, Vine. I know, like, specifically, like, the shoes, like, I'm wearing right now, before Kanye West, like, wore them for a performance, nobody even knew what they were. And then he wore them for, like performing, like, some of his most famous songs, and everybody was like, oh, like, what's he wearing? That's a new thing. And, like, prices skyrocket, and if you're wearing them, you're cool, like, I on the gram, right? All, like, wrapping it all together. And so, so, like, that, like, what a celebrity is doing, like, if, like, that celebrity is trendy, what they're wearing is trendy, what they're doing is trendy, and like so on and so forth.
did you have them before Kanye?
No.
I was gonna give you all the credit.
Sadly, no.
What about advertisements? Like, does that impact you? Like, Rachel, you're nodding. Like,
It
what?
impacts everybody.
Yeah.
But no, totally. I mean, well, I do think that like advertisements specifically featuring the celebrities of the moment, or like advertisements that are sneaky and like sneak into like the celebrities' Instagrams, because I can't remember, I think I read this thing about how like celebrities like the Kardashians are so popular on social media and otherwise because their social media makes you feel like it feigns intimacy, because they will just post about like just their daily life, and they'll just post a random selfie, and like it doesn't seem super posed. Obviously it is, but it doesn't give off that vibe, and so it makes you feel like you're their friend. And so then when they post about like, I love vitamin water or something, like obviously it's like sneakier than that, it makes you feel like you're having a recommendation from a friend.
So getting back into social media now, would you say that some that you, your friends, people you know, are they addicted to social media? Are they addicted to their phones? Why are you laughing?
Because I am too. Like constantly, you're on one, you check it, you do whatever you have to do, respond to something, and you check the other one, and after you're done checking that one, you go back. So it's just like constantly like checking both. If you're bored, if you're like while you're watching TV, while like you're doing something else on like a different device, you're like checking it, so like stuff like that.
And you guys agree?
Yeah. I'm totally addicted. I like, and I know that this is not just me. I know this is most people who have phones. I like can't go to the bathroom without my phone. Like, what am I doing in there if I'm not on my phone?
Staring at a wall.
Like, you just stare at a wall, and that's like, we can't handle like not being stimulated for like 0.5 seconds.
Is it just teens and youth and young people, or is it also adults? I see you shaking your head.
No, I think it's everybody. I know like I don't know like what the demographics of Snapchat are. I feel like more like technically like adults, like newly adults or whatever, like are really into it, and like the whole like feature they have of like streaks, like you Snapchat somebody multiple days in a row. That's like just like keeping you like forcing you to come back, and like the best friends like feature, like if you want somebody to be your best friend, you Snapchat them a lot, and like stuff like that, and like even like not just social media, but just like electronics in general. My own father will be watching a TV show and like playing 8-ball pool on his like laptop,
Yeah.
like at the same time.
Yeah, and like our dad is he likes to tell us that like we're gonna go soon, and then
Oh yeah, classic.
he'll sit down and he's like, I don't know if I'd say addicted, but he's fairly addicted to posting on Facebook like rants. Like he's a very, very political man.
He's a slacktivist.
What?
A slacktivist.
What's that mean?
We can get into that.
Okay.
It means like your activism is like ranting on, like you're not necessarily marching, although there was some marching.
Dad
But
does,
Like so it's like
Dad does
slacker and activist.
Yeah.
But,
Dad
okay.
does do a fair.
It's activism without getting up and actually doing anything.
Yeah, but he gets into like daily fights on Facebook. And it can take 5 minutes, it can take 20 minutes. Who knows?
would you say your mother?
Oh my.
Oh
All right.
my
Mom, you need to drive me to school. School starts at 7:30. It's 7:20. Let's go. All right. I'm just gonna finish reading this article. 4 more pages.
Yeah.
Finishes reading it. Mom, all right, you finished the article. Let's go. Hold on. Like, I have to like my boss's picture of their baby. It's just rude if I don't. It's like, all right, Mom, you liked it. Let's keep going. No, hold on. Like, I have to read this article about the newest emojis and what they really mean. It's like, Mom, like, let's go.
Yeah, in her defense, she does get a lot of like her news from Facebook, but she's also addicted to it. And I think that there's like a point where she could just stop for a second. Like it'll be there when you get back from driving me to school.
Yeah. Our mom works at a health clinic, and I volunteer with her 2 days a week, and I will come downstairs a little late. I will admit, I run late often.
They're supposed to leave at 7:30. She doesn't get up until 7:15.
Okay.
Focusing on social media.
And I will like come downstairs, and she'll be like, Rachel, come on, we have to leave. And I'll be like, okay, let's leave. And she'll scroll for like 30 more seconds. And I'll be like, what are you talking about? We have to leave. You're the one on Facebook right now. And she's like, I'm not on Facebook. Still scrolling.
And as she's turning, her like head stays in the same spot.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, that's actually so true.
So I'm hearing that you're tired of the demands of social media on your parents. Do you ever, that they're sort of overly connected at times, or more than you would like them to be, or inconvenient connectedness? Do you ever feel like you're tired of the demands of social media?
This
Yes.
just happened.
This just happened.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
So it was my birthday a few days ago, and I also graduated on my birthday. So I had a bunch of like Instagram and Snapchat like birthday shout outs, but then I also was tagged in a lot of graduation stuff, and I got really, really stressed out.
Okay.
This is so embarrassing.
Okay, listen. Kayla's like, so like you have to. I don't know if I'm speaking like for you.
You are.
But you have to like and comment on everything you're tagged in. Otherwise, it's just rude. Because like you got the honor of being tagged in somebody's picture, you have to like.
Yeah, and if someone walks up to you and says like "Happy Birthday," you don't just walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's
so
rude.
so she's like doing all that stuff,
that.
and Rachel just wants to show her this tiny little thing. So Rachel like goes, "Kayla, look at it." Kayla's, "I can't. I'm doing something."
Yeah, I started screaming at her because I was so stressed out.
I'm like, Kayla, what do you think of this caption? Because I was trying to post a
Shut
picture.
up, Rachel.
I was trying to post a picture of us for her birthday, and I was like, Kayla, look at this caption. Is this good? And she was like, I can't look at it right now.
She's typing, and Rachel says that, and she goes, "Shut up."
I'm sorry, Rachel.
Rachel and Nathan, as you're mocking Kayla, has that ever happened to you?
Oh, 100%. It's like, okay, so can't be on your device, can't be on Snapchat, can't be on Instagram all day at school. So you have to come home
What are you talking about? We're not allowed to have media on the
and do all of that as soon as you get home. And so like there's, and like, so like I'm like super like OCD when it comes to scrolling through my Instagram feed, because like I have to get to the last thing I saw before all these, so I'm making sure that I'm not missing anything. And so you have to do all that from the entire day. You gotta respond to all your Snapchats so you don't lose any of your streaks. And like you have to respond to any texts that you have. It's crazy. And it's like I'm sitting there and I have to just like be focused on that for however long.
Yeah, that's like I always have like my friends do like log on to my Snapchat for me and do my streaks because I just get so lazy.
It's actually like really like unhealthy, but that's fine.
Now, Rachel, you can be on social media all day because you're a college student.
Yes. I don't care about streaks at all. I also don't care if I get to the last place that I was on Instagram when I'm scrolling.
What if you miss a meme?
Listen, I only care about so many people, and so I will go to their profiles and like their pictures individually rather than scrolling and hoping I see them. Everybody else I don't care about. But then, no, when I get that kind of like that, like many notifications like on your birthday or something, I love it. I love the attention, so I'm not stressed about it.
So stressful.
Now, Nathan, you were just saying you have to scroll, like you have to see everything. You can't miss a meme. Why can't you miss a meme? Is it FOMO?
It's like, I don't know if it's necessarily, well, I mean, like, I guess it's like fear of like being out of the loop, right? Like you don't want to like.
So fear of being out of the loop as opposed to fear of missing out.
Yeah, because I mean, there's missing out is like in person.
Okay, this is important.
Being
This
out
is
of the
actually like a legit
Of like
Online.
social media.
Because like it's about like the trends. If a meme is trending and I don't see it when I'm scrolling through because I don't get to the bottom, I'm gonna feel left out. People are gonna be like, or like people like the whole thing back to screenshot. Oh my gosh, I'm so good at this. The whole thing back to screenshotting like people's Finsta posts. If like somebody texts in the group chat, did you see so and so's Finsta post? It's like, no, I didn't, because I didn't scroll all the way to the bottom of my feed. So then I have to go back and do it all over again. And I hate it. I hate it so much. It's ugh.
Well, on that note, we've actually gotten, this was one of our smaller focus groups today, but probably way more data than you thought. But also we had way better group questions, or class questions.
These were good questions.
Oh, we're not done yet. Are there any other questions that people prepared that they didn't want to ask? Like usually I make you wait,
I
Kathleen.
have one. So you, Nathan, said that you can't go through your social media during school, obviously.
Yeah.
When you're in class, do you feel that you're less focused in class because you're more worried about what you're missing on social media? Or are you able to disconnect for that amount of time?
I feel like unfortunately, okay, so like the school Wi-Fi blocks all of these social media sites, so I'm not getting like the notifications. So it's like I'm able to focus, but I feel like if I was getting the notifications, it would be harder to focus more. Like
But
on
isn't
school.
everyone off of it? Like everyone's in school with you.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because anyone who
also-
has an iPhone, because we don't
Yeah.
have iPhones, we only have like, well, I have an iPhone, but it doesn't have a data plan on it, and so we can only use Wi-Fi. And so all of our friends that have iPhones with data plans would be like texting each other and like posting on Instagram and Snapchat. And, yeah.
It's a hard knock life.
So then do you get FOMO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions? Test the group.
I was gonna ask, cause I mean, you talk about like, you're like, I don't care, you really care, I'm not sure if you care or not, like if you miss something, but like, Rachel, were you ever like, I really care, I have to always be on it, I need to see everything that's happening, like is that a personality difference or is that an age and maturity difference just cause you're older?
I think it's probably an age difference because I've been on a lot of these social media platforms for so long that at this point I'm like it's so much work, I can't. And like I also have friends who like are like that where they have to like scroll to the end. But I'm like I've done that so many times that I'm over it.
You're a seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
Other questions? Amanda, did you get to ask a question or was it covered?
I think mine's covered. I mean, I was gonna ask more of an anxiety one, but I think this last little segment covered my anxiety questions.
Brittany, what about you?
No, all of mine were answered. I think the thing that surprised me the most was the Finsta and Rensta.
Yeah,
Me
that.
too.
And the
The
exclusive.
exclusive. And then you guys said you all have one, right? Like two separate
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah.
So it's like really common.
And it kind of makes me wonder if my brother has a
Yeah.
real and a fake one because he's.
I think we would all say yes, he does.
Can I just clarify that? So like, the real Instagram is not the real Instagram?
Correct.
I mean, like, it's like reverse. Like, the real you is shown on the Finsta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, the Rinsta is the ideal
The
you,
filter.
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Bethany, Marissa, Haley, any last questions? I know you asked some. All right, one. Oh,
One
go.
came up.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
I went back to like what my questions were. For my topic, my paper, I want to write a little bit more of like teen rite of passages. So, how like posting of like promposals and like relationships or something like that. Is that common or is that uncommon or like, or as an outsider, like how do you view those?
Yeah, like constantly you'll like see like pictures of like when it's prom season, like every single picture you find is like a promposal or something like that. And there are some people whose like Instagrams are like just devoted to pictures of them and their significant other.
Is
So
that
like
a separate one?
no, that's the
It can
worst
be.
stuff.
Some
It
people
can
do.
be.
I've
That's so
encountered.
Like a relationship.
I've
like,
encountered
account.
Yes, I've encountered several joint Instagrams which are the worst. And like this girl that I was vaguely familiar with in high school like had one with her boyfriend who like I didn't know at all. And then just recently she posted a picture of just her and I realized that the handle had changed and now it's just hers. I guess they broke up.
No, I feel like that whole like thing with like relationship, like separate relationship Instagrams or like one where like you just post about that's still about like a mask of like my relationship's perfect. You wish you had this when in actuality like there's probably all this
Nobody
turmoil.
posts when
Yeah.
they are fighting.
Yeah.
Like
It's only when they're like taking these cute trips or oh look at this necklace he bought me
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, and like my first year roommate whose boyfriend is like from hell. They had a joint Instagram for a while. Now it's just hers because he is horrible and like won't put any effort towards anything at all. But like they would post pictures and they had like the worst, most toxic relationship. They still do. And they would only post pictures that made them seem really cute. And like me living with her, I knew that the opposite was completely true, but it's so edited and filtered and like selected.
What happens like if you text or post about like your significant other and they don't text back? Is that like a big deal or not? Or
I would think it is personally.
have you had friends or?
I'm like, how are you gonna text me? What's up? And I'm gonna respond, and you're just gonna not text back. I mean,
That's
really.
so relatable.
Besides that,
People who don't text back are the worst.
it takes 0.2 seconds. see that notification, I'm clicking on it, typing right. So you know I'm loyal.
Yeah, but I also want to say about the rite of passage stuff, the prom pictures are so intense. Like prom, the point of prom is to take pictures and post them, and like it gets so intense, and like even like our local like online newspaper will like take pictures from Facebook and write an article about.
No, it becomes like a competition almost.
It becomes a competition
about like who's like the cutest couple.
Who's the cutest couple?
Who has the cutest dress? Who had the best
paid the
time?
most money for their makeup?
Yeah.
Who got a limo? Who got a party bus? Who is like going to the littest party afterwards? Like who is just like going back to their house and like going to sleep? And who's going to someone's beach house for the whole weekend? It's so much. It becomes so competitive, and like it's treated as such a big deal. And then like you get away from it, and you're like, why did I care so much?
Why do you think people care so much?
I think it's hyped up so much in our culture and in our media, because like I mean, how many like high school like forms of media, entertainment, whatever, focus on high school don't talk about prom or another big dance. Like even like High School Musical, the last one is like there's a section all about prom, and like Disney Channel has a movie that's just about prom, only about prom.
You want to watch it so bad.
How could I miss that? I'm like so upset right now. I can't even.
No, you're like exactly right. Like it's this thing that's portrayed in the media. Like,
I think it might be called Prom.
oh boy, I hate it.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it definitely is.
No, it's this thing where it's like I want to have like this perfect like prom experience, just like I've seen like on TV since I was 5.
And also, so here's another thing, is that Snapchat, I just remembered Snapchat just does this thing where they'll do like global stories.
Yeah.
So they used to do it with like cities, you know, and now like college campuses will have it.
Is that like the smallest thing?
Huh?
Conard has one.
Conard
Yeah.
What West Hartford has one.
So there's like
Conard's their high school.
There's like a women's college is one that like everybody at my school is always trying to get on, and I've been on it several times, FYI. And during prom season, there's one for prom, and so people are posting like kids from like all across the world are posting like from like the richest parts of the world are posting their extravagant proms where like celebrities are performing, and like there's like free like diamond earrings for every like girl that goes or something, like just very over the top, and it's totally a competition.
Do you think that show on MTV Promposal affects like how big prom? Because I know promposals are big now anyways, but just like that show did like kind of like times 100 with that.
Yeah.
I think so.
And it's like every year, like you have to think of like more and more like big creative things, where it's like the person you're asking, like, this is all you could come up with. I've seen this 4 different times.
Yeah.
And there's like these Instagram accounts, not like personal ones, but like famous ones, where it's just like, oh, look how cute this promposal is, and it's like shit, like I can't do that. Like, so like you have to like, it's this whole thing like once again like making people feel bad about themselves because they can't do this or can't do that.
Do you think they'll ever, like, can you envision a time where everyone just rejected that and when they were just like, screw proposals, we're not doing it anymore, it's too much?
I mean, I feel like maybe, like the whole thing with like one person doesn't do it, so then the trend goes away, but I feel like that would take like a lot.
Yeah.
Because it is like this global thing.
I think that would probably require a complete overhaul of like societies everywhere, because like human beings love to be extra, and there's like promposals are so extra, and I think like in order for people to stop caring about it, I think it would take years, and I think it would take like a complete cultural shift.
And just to put it also in context, Rachel, you received and gave a promposal?
I did both.
Nathan, do you imagine promposing?
See, I'm already on that level. I'm living in 30-20. I do not care about prom at all.
Kayla, do you expect a promposal, or like whether or not it's good or bad? Like, would you Would you be sort of happy if you got a promposal?
Absolutely. I don't really want anything like extravagant or expensive. I just want like a nice promposal for someone that I either really like or love or whatever. But I'm really scared that no one's gonna ask me to prom.
Right, it's like so
Like,
much
I'm
stress,
so
and Kayla
scared.
is like at least 2 years away from having to worry about this, and it's already like a source of stress.
I'll tell you right
so
now.
scared
I'll tell you right now. If I was gonna do a promposal, here we go.
Oh God.
I thought it all out. A humongous cutout of like the newest, most like trendy meme, and huge like you meme a lot. Prom. You guys would all say yes. You guys would all say yes.
You're just my favorite.
You guys would all say yes.
Everyone, another question. Are boys the only ones that can really ask, or can girls ask boys to prom, or is it just like silly? Like, is a real promposal a guy asking a girl?
No, I asked my boyfriend to prom.
But you went to 2 different schools.
We went to 2 different schools. And so he asked me to his senior prom, and I asked him to my junior prom, and mine was like, I like wrote in chalk on his like school sidewalk like prom, and so like that was like big but not expensive, and then he like got me cupcakes that said prom, and then like a yes cupcake and a no cupcake. So
I remember that.
Opening
Yeah, you were
himself
there.
I
up
had
to
the no
failure.
cupcake.
you did get the no cupcake.
Because I would have said no.
No, but I still feel like even though like that's like more common, I feel like there's still like the whole thing like you had to ask your boyfriend instead of the other way around. Like that's kind of like
Yeah, I feel like it's not widely accepted because sexism, but
yeah.
I
Good
like
point.
I'd ask a boy to prom.
Good for you.
I think it's a bit contingent upon what kind of. I went to Fairfield Ward here in town, and there's a Sadie Hawkins dance. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is or what it
When
consists
girls
of.
ask the boys.
Yeah. And there's 2 of them, sophomore. There's one junior year. There's a homecoming junior year. There's a homecoming senior year. There's a prom junior year and a prom senior year. So it's loaded. Yeah. And it's strictly girls ask guys for Sadie Hawkins. And it's called Sadie Hawkins sophomore. It's called like counties. Oh, sorry, there's 3 of them. Sophomore, junior, and senior year. Yeah. So for what it's worth, that's where the difference comes in, from what I've experienced.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You guys, your school doesn't do that though, does it?
No. We only have prom, junior and senior year. We used to have a homecoming. Is it back now?
Yeah, it's back now.
It was canceled after my sophomore year because people in my grade showed up intoxicated.
They pretended like doesn't happen, but it 100% happens.
No, but like it was like I don't know what it was. I didn't go to the one that canceled everything, but I went to it my freshman year because I was a naive freshman and I didn't know like how horrible it was gonna be. But it was really just like uncomfortable, over the top, and then my sophomore year, like people showed up just like drunk out of their minds. So then it was canceled.
I should also contextualize this, that based on rankings, which we can question or not, Rachel attended, Nathan currently attends, Kayla will be attending in the fall, the #1 comprehensive public high school in Connecticut. So this isn't like the Gowanda Junior Senior High School that served tater tots at the prom. You know what I mean? Go Panthers.
Tater tots sounds so good.
Yeah.
It's trash. To the SW. But like, so I'm just saying, like, there's certain things that go with both that town in terms of class and things like that, and and obviously there are other #1 schools based on how you do the rankings, private and whatnot, and non-comprehensive. I don't know. You only learn math. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But so just to say, like, this behavior is happening in that specific school, it's because sometimes we characterize. Haley, did you have something you want to say, or were you just stretching? Any last questions for our focus group? Is there any last thing you would want to say or want us to know about kids today youth today, social media. Keep in mind.
We're all a bunch of little brats. If I'm being honest.
Middle school is exactly the same as it's always been. Kayla's problems are the same problems that I had, plus Snapchat though. That makes it a little worse.
Would you go back? Like, would you do it again?
God, no. I would stay in college for the rest of my life, but I would not go back to grade school for anything.
Nathan, would you go back to middle school?
Good one.
And are you already looking forward to being out of high school?
I'm just biding my time.
Kayla, no pressure. Would you go back to middle school, and are you looking forward to high school, or are you looking past high school? Or
No, and definitely looking past.
and why are you already looking past? Because you have older siblings, or just
Yeah, I mean, like, I get to see her, like, at college, and it seems like a grand old time. And neither of them really liked or like high school, so I'm not necessarily excited for it. But I'm very, very excited for college.
Any last questions?
Just really quick, y'all can follow me on Instagram. Add me on Snapchat, Star Nathan.
All right, go upstairs. Thank you. Thanks, Dylan. We're all set.
You got it.
And so